Let's just get right into it. Round 17, first game, Collingwood versus Essendon, 6th versus 4th. It is a Friday night game at the MCG. How did Collingwood get 6 goals away from the Suns at three-quarter time?
It's just what they do, right?
So, is that what it is?
Bit of fun, you know.
I feel like that they're like a cat that had 9 lives and they've run out of them. Like they can't rely on that coming back from behind.
This is true. I thought you were going to say, I feel they're like a cat who's ready to pounce on the mouse.
No.
It's like they pounce on opposition, you know?
They were unable to pull that off this week, right?
That is correct.
Yes, and your friends Essendon.
My friends.
How disappointing was that loss for you? I guess not that disappointing. You were fine with it?
I was disappointed that they lost so easily.
Yeah.
I was happy the Geelong won because I still think they can play finals.
Okay.
Got to prove a few people wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the way that they, 45 points is a bit of a touch-up.
Yeah, well, it would provide evidence for all the people that say they're the great pretenders.
Yes. Can't argue with that.
So what did you think of Jagoi's game coming back after, what was he out for 3 weeks? Was it 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
4 weeks. Yeah. Really good. He kicked a couple of crucial goals, which he always does. He's just going to get better and better. He looked a bit overweight. Are we allowed to say that? Or we're not allowed to? We can't say that anymore.
No, you can say if you think he looks overweight, you just can't say by how much.
Oh, okay. I think he looked a bit overweight. But he still played quite well.
Hey, as long as he did his job, just because the team lost it, you can't say that he didn't do his job. So let's get to the question of the hour. Who loses and why?
I think Essendon lose.
And
I think
why?
Collingwood are just better equipped. I don't know. I didn't like what I saw with Essendon last week. I think Collingwood might just pip them. I think it's just better equipped. I don't know.
I'm with you. I think that you can't trust Essendon, and they still haven't beat top 8 teams.
That's true.
And Collingwood, even though they lost this past week, they have earned our trust, I would say. It's
Over
not too hard to believe in them, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
It's funny, just when we were talking about the Essendon game, I remember 4 weeks ago you asked me a question without notice saying, if Sydney played Essendon this week in the grand final, who would win? And I said Essendon.
You did.
I've been thinking about it all morning, knowing that we were going to do this, and I'm like, how wrong was I think.
Next game, Port versus Bulldogs, 7th versus 9th. It is a Saturday afternoon in lovely Adelaide. Did you bring yourself to watch the St Kilda game?
Honestly, I didn't. I saw glimpses of it, but I didn't sit down to watch it.
You just couldn't bear. You just couldn't do it.
I refuse. And for good reason, because 60-62 isn't exactly a...
I appreciate that you're a man who sticks to his guns, right? You say you're not, you don't do it. I love that about you.
Begrudgingly, I do sometimes.
Yeah. So was Port's win convincing enough for you, or...
No. Not even close. I didn't like what they did. I mean, bar for a couple of good players, Horn Francis and Butters, they lose that game. So
yeah, it was unconvincing, to say the least.
Very.
Now, how about the Bulldogs? North made them sweat, I would say.
They did, but North's in some good form. I think people are still underestimating North. The Bulldogs still won. I don't think they were ever going to lose that. It's one of those games, you just get the job done. That's it. They got the 4 points, move on.
Right. So, with that said, who loses and why?
Port Adelaide, because the Bulldogs are going much better. That's it.
All right. I'm going to give it to the Bulldogs to lose. I feel like Port have way too much to lose themselves. I'm basically tipping on the home ground advantage, to be honest with you. I think it'll probably be a very tight match. But I'm going to just... Why not? I'm going to give it to Port. I bet against them last week. I'm going for them this week,
Home ground advantage.
Did you notice that Rory Lobb was playing in the back line for the Bulldogs?
Very strange. However,
However,
it's a good leave of the pool because you never know when they might need him.
Yeah.
They didn't need him against North. Like he wasn't the reason why they won or lost.
Okay.
But their forward line's very functional. They don't really need Rory Lobb,
Right.
down, down forward. So they play him down back. So why not give it a shot, So, yeah. I thought it was interesting. It was odd but interesting, and it worked.
Yeah, mix it up. Why not? Keep us on our toes, right?
That's it.
Moving on to the North Melbourne versus Suns game. It's the 18th versus 11th team. Saturday afternoon. It's at Marvel Stadium. How are you feeling about North at the moment? I mean, you kind of just touched on it.
I'm loving them. They're exciting to watch. They're intriguing to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if exciting is the right word. They can be exciting at times, but they're intriguing.
So what is it that you're liking about them? Like, what did you see in the game against the Bulldogs that you felt good about?
In that specific game, I like that they were down by 40 points at one stage, and North of, even earlier on this year, would have lost by 80 points. Oh. They fought back. They gave more than they got, to be honest. And they're not scared anymore. They've learnt, with the last 3 weeks, just the positions they've been in. That's AFL football. So they're learning.
They're progressing.
They're progressing. They're going like this. Actually, maybe like this, but but they're going. They're going. They're getting better.
They're heading in the right direction.
In the right direction, yes.
Got it. So for this game, the Suns, I don't want to forget about the Suns. So I flip-flopped last week, and I actually tipped against the Suns. I thought Collingwood were going to win, but they managed to keep their stadium the fortress that it has been, right?
Yeah, the huge fortress.
Yeah.
People First Stadium, yeah, that's a rule.
They did a good job, but this week they're going to be traveling, and we know what happens when when they have to get on a plane. So, who loses and why?
Gold Coast loses because they receive a boarding pass. End of story. Done.
That's it, man. The altitude. Something about the altitude is just, gets to them every time, right?
Well, their coach actually, when he was coaching Richmond, Damien Hardwick, said he hated going to Marvel. From the MCG to Marvel.
Oh, really?
So, what are you portraying? You're coming from Gold Coast to Marvel now. What's that telling you, But anyway, look, they can't seem to win away from home.
Yeah. So I'm with you. The Suns, we have no evidence so far they can.
I'm shocked.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think you were going to go down that path.
No, I mean, I'm with you. North Melbourne, I'm rooting for that. I mean, I'm not rooting against the Suns. I'm not saying that. But I feel like they have been improving. The underdog story, that we keep mentioning. Yeah. And because they have been showing week after week, like these improvements, and with the fact that the Suns have not been able to win a game away from people first. I'm gonna say the Suns are losing, and the Little Roos are gonna have their day in the sun.
It's so condescending, the Little Roos. I love it.
Little Roos. That's so cute. I want to get a T-shirt made that says the Little Roos.
You should.
Ooh, this one's actually very exciting. I take that back. All right. Geelong versus Hawks, 5th versus 13th. It's a Saturday afternoon in Geelong, the Cattery. How did you feel that the Cats looked without Hawkins this week?
Loved it.
You loved it. I know. You're not a big fan of his, are you?
Not now. I think he's way past it.
Okay.
I think they look very stagnant with him playing.
Yeah.
And without him just freeze up their forward line, it looked fluid. I liked it.
Yeah. They looked pretty good. They had a dip in the fountain of youth for a week.
Well, they had a dip in the fountain because it did rain that night, and they still kicked 105 points. So that tells you, they're going all right.
What did you think of the Hawks' performance against my West Coast Witches hats?
You said it for me. You said it.
Oh, God. We'll talk more about them afterwards.
I did tell you. I did try to tell you last week.
You tried, and I didn't listen. And
you didn't want to hear it.
By the way, my thinking was I was not alone. I mean, if you listen to any of the other pundits, do you call them pundits there? commentators. Yeah. They all were kind of saying the same thing, that the expectations were high of the Eagles based on they had their team. They actually had their full team in place, right?
Yeah, they did. But how'd that go for the pundits and yourself?
No, it was, I mean, there was definitely a problem. But anyway, we're talking about the Hawks in Geelong right now. So who loses and why?
I think the Hawks lose.
Okay, why?
Because it's down at that cricket pitch that, it's not actually an oval. It's like that. It's rectangular.
Oh, Andy.
It's very ugly down there to play football. And it's almost a layup for them down there. And James Sicily's out with a sore shoulder.
Oh, really?
Doesn't help. Yeah, there's a very good chance he hasn't played. So
he was fantastic this past week.
Yeah, good.
Amazing.
But that's it. They're playing down there. If this is at the MCG, I'll probably say Geelong lose, but not this week.
So I'm also agreeing with you. I think the Hawks lose. I think they're coming back from traveling. I think it's like a 6-day break. Geelong gave a very strong performance, and they're playing at home. So I think Geelong will be the victors. And I'm not saying it won't be close. I think the Hawks will show up. Be close.
I think they will too.
But I think Geelong are going to they got this one.
Have you tipped exactly the same as me this week?
No, I think...
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I have?
You have? Yes, I've been taking note.
Who did I say? I said Bulldogs. You said Port's going to lose.
That's
I said
the only
Bulldogs
one.
are going to lose.
Well,
so
you got one wrong. So, yeah, you got
Take
one wrong.
That. So this one, this might be the end of our friendship.
Oh, it's over. I know where this is going. 7:30 Saturday night, NG Stadium. I know where it's going.
GWS versus Carlton, 10 versus 2.
Who's 10 and who's 2?
Who you think? Richmond, though, made you sweat just a little bit, I think, in the first half of that game. Did they not? Just a little bit. Be honest.
Are you just... Is this a joke or are we on?
No.
Are we on?
So, in fairness, I couldn't actually see the game because the AFL couldn't bother to let me watch it on the app. It only showed the locker room of the previous game. And so I got to watch the Eagles warm up. That's all I could see.
Well, you would have enjoyed that.
I mean, it was so lame. So I was.
They would have kicked more goals in the warm up than they did in the game. The Eagles,
probably so. Yeah, but I could see the score in the corner of my TV set. It was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that would have been even worse, seeing the score and knowing they kept ticking over and over and over and over.
But the second half, obviously, Carlton blew them away. So here's another question for you that you'll just enjoy immensely answering. Where do you see GWS finishing on the ladder at this point?
What does it go down to? 18? About 13.
13? All right. Well, I'm not going to argue this at this point. So who loses and why?
Really? You're going to ask me that question?
Yes, it's part of the game.
It's part of the game?
Yeah.
GWS, because they are no good. They're inept. Okay. They're broken. They're finished.
Okay.
Something's wrong.
That's it? That's all you got?
Do you want more? I can go on for
No, I don't actually. Okay. So guess what? I agree with you. I told you last week.
Hallelujah.
I told you last week that they were making it harder and harder for me. It breaks my heart to say this, but I do not see them in their current state beating Carlton. With that said, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me because the last 2 weeks they've disappointed me when I picked them to win. So maybe if I pick them to lose, they'll be like, take that, American, So anything can happen, right?
I don't think there'll be any surprises this week, to be honest.
I think you're right. So anyway, and I promise to be nice to you if GWS is winning, and you better be nice to me if they're losing. How's that? All right, the next game we have, oh God, Dockers versus Richmond, third. You heard me. 3rd versus 17th. It's a Saturday night at Optus Stadium. Are you prepping in any way for the 100 Nuggets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Yes, that was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what sauce I should have. Because I can eat them dry, but not 100, right? I could probably eat 20 dry.
Right.
But then you need some sauce to
You need to
wash it
something
down
to
almost, right?
wash it down, yeah.
Yeah,
Make it-
so
yeah.
Ange said I should go sweet and sour and barbecue, and I don't really like barbecue sauce. I'm just going
Do
to
you
go
guys
sweet
do
and
honey
sour.
mustard? Do you have that flavor over
No,
there or not really?
we're stupid Australians.
Okay.
We don't do honey mustard, we don't do cinnamon, and we
Okay.
don't do peanut butter here. Like, it's taboo in this country.
I thought you meant with nuggets. You mean in
No,
general?
not with nuggets, but just
I was
in
like, that's
general. Like, I like.
disgusting.
No, I know that.
For those of you, by the way, who haven't heard this before, Andy has a bet. If Freo, they have to make the finals, or what's the
No, make finals.
if they make finals, he has to eat 100 nuggets. So that's what the chicken nugget thing is about. So are there any compliments whatsoever you could give the Freo Dockers on their win against the Swans?
Nope,
Not one.
not one.
Not one. All right, great. I'm sure some people are going to have fun with you in the comments.
That's fine. I'm just being honest. I don't like them. They're making me eat 100 nuggets. I can get stuffed. Enough for Freo.
Do you think if they convincingly beat Richmond, you'll feel more confident in their skills, or will you just dismiss that because Richmond's like down
Yeah.
on their luck?
Dismissed.
Okay.
Dismissed.
Okay, so
I've got some news on Richmond just quickly. There is a big, and I mean 100% rumour, right? It happened about half an hour ago.
Okay.
It's making the rounds that Dustin Martin
Yes.
will sign a 2-year deal with Gold Coast
Get
next
out.
year. It's not
I don't-
confirmed, but people have said it's 100% happening. So
Who are
these
these
people-
people?
but it's like anything until it happens, hasn't happened, right? But
Wow.
there's every chance of that. So yeah,
All right. Well, enough of that. Let's get to the question: who loses and why?
Richmond, because they're just no good,
Because they're just no good. All right.
and they're playing in Perth.
They are playing in Perth. That's right. Yet again, we're in agreement. I think
shocker.
Freo, home ground advantage. Richmond, they're not used to traveling. And they have no
That's
Lynch.
true.
They have no Dusty. Apparently, he's going to be in Gold Coast checking out apartments. And they have the same problems they've been plagued with all season. So I'm going to stick with Freo to win and Richmond to lose. So honestly, we're in agreement of everything except one
Except
right
Port.
now. Oh my God, how boring. All right. Melbourne versus the Eagles, 12th versus 16th. This is a Sunday game at the MCG. Melbourne has no forward line. How did they kick 8 against the Lions in the second quarter?
Well, that's all they kicked for the game, so it
True.
just did.
Pretty
Cozzy
much,
Pickett was
yeah.
fantastic. If he wasn't kicking goals, he was setting them up. So it
Yeah.
was just one of those nights. And, they struggled in the last quarter, so they didn't kick a goal in the last quarter, which basically tells you there's no forward line.
Do you think if that game had been played in Melbourne, there'd be a different outcome, or do you think the place was irrelevant?
I think they kicked 11 goals, 20 Brisbane. The last 5 weeks, they kicked over 100 points, and that's home and away. So
Yeah.
I think MCG would have been the same result.
They do
Brisbane,
pretty
I think.
well, actually, in Melbourne, the Lions.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah. Will Simon Goodwin be coaching the D's next year?
Excellent question.
They seem to have been falling off a cliff.
Can I put it to you this way?
Sure.
It's either Simon Goodwin leaves
Yeah.
or Clayton Oliver leaves.
Ooh.
Not
Do tell.
Not that. No, well, I just think that there's too much going on there. He was the cause of it at the start of the season. I don't know if that's carried on or not.
Okay.
So I think you've got to fix the problem somehow, right?
Okay.
Now, if it's a coach, you get rid of the coach. If it's a player, you get rid of the player. I just think everyone's clashing at Melbourne, and I think Clayton, like I said, was a big part of it. So I don't know. There's talks of him being traded also. So
Okay.
that just doesn't come out of nowhere. So I'm not sure.
So what about Adam Simpson? Do you see him having a job at the West Coast Eagles next year?
I do,
Oh.
and I know because that's going to happen. But
Okay.
they're kidding themselves, the West Coast Eagles. They need to wake up to themselves. Seriously. They need to start fresh. Well, he's got a contract for next year. What's
He
next
does.
year going to achieve?
Yeah.
might as well sign for another 3 years if you think he's the next premiership coach, which I don't think he is.
Honestly, it's so confusing because we have all seen some of their performances this year where we were like, holy cow, what was that?
Yeah.
Amazing. And then that same team comes out at home and puts on if it wasn't for Barris and the Gov,
yeah, of course.
who,
yeah.
little Pac-Man in the back.
The performances they fluctuate so much, and surely that's got to come down to coaching.
It's so erratic. And, I think as a West Coast supporter, I feel like, all we want is to see improvement.
Of course.
And to see them in the game and put up a good fight. And that was,
bad.
It was outrageous. And granted, Oscar is still rusty, and you can sit here and say Harley's been out for nearly a month, and Tim Kelly just came back. You can make the excuses, but it's.
But the excuses have been going on for 4 years. That's the thing.
It's just something. Yeah. There's something amiss at the moment.
They're all too comfortable, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Possibly, yeah. So this is going to be an obvious one. Who loses and why?
Oh, West Coast. They're no chance. Having said that, I've seen West Coast win these games in the past. I'm not tipping them.
It's true.
Yeah. Everything's against them, and atrocious performance, and they come and beat a side that they shouldn't beat. And let's be honest, Melbourne isn't exactly setting the world alight. So
yeah, it's true.
But West Coast still lose. So I gave you some false hope, but not really.
Yeah, no. Believe me, I'm I'm down in the dumps with my teams at the moment.
Tom Barras.
Yes.
He's leaving the Eagles, right?
Shut up.
Okay.
I did actually hear some rumblings that maybe he would leave, but I don't know.
There's more than rumblings, let me tell you.
Get out. Where's he going?
Sydney.
Do you have his address?
Sydney. No, I don't.
St. Kilda versus Sydney, 15th versus 1st, Sunday afternoon at Marvel. How low of a score can Ross keep Sydney to?
If he keeps them under 120, he's done well.
All right. Now, St. Kilda nearly beat Port. Nearly. It's not saying much, but...
With 60 points, my God.
Does Sydney have anything to worry about based on getting beaten at home by Freo?
There might be a flight delay or something. That's about it. That's the only
That's about
worry.
it. That's all they have to worry about is the airline schedule?
Yeah. It's... This game is just going. Oh my!
Now, what would happen in the footy world if Sydney lost 2 games in a row and the second game was St. Kilda?
If that happened, okay,
yeah,
the Carlton supporters would be on cloud 9. Oh, we're going to win the premiership. I'm one of them, but I don't go down that path.
Yeah,
but they would be saying, "Who's going to beat us now?" And it's just a Carlton arrogance. It's been going on for 50 years.
Yes. Okay. All right.
That's what would happen.
So who loses and why?
Don't even ask me that question. That's not required in this one.
I don't see any universe where St. Kilda beats the Swans.
I'll answer it so ask me again.
Yeah. Okay. Who loses and why?
Not Sydney. So I refuse to say their name.
Last game. Is that the last game? Really? Oh, my God. Lions versus Crows. 8th versus 14th. It's at the Gabba, Sunday afternoon. How far can Brisbane go at this point?
I think they'll play finals from here on in.
Okay.
But I don't think they can do any damage in September, to be honest.
All right. Now, the Crows obviously beat the Giants. Do you think that was like an ego boost for them, or do you think at this point they're not really rating the Giants?
I think it was a good win. I think they're saying to play a lot of kids, and the kids are doing well.
Okay.
And having Isaac Rankin back, my favourite player in the AFL.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
he's amazing to watch.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching him more than anyone, to be honest.
Really?
He's just got this X factor. He's just, he's
exciting.
Amazing. He is very exciting.
So what do you think the probability of Barry tagging Rankin is?
Pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Very good. Very good. Whether you can do it or not's another question.
So who loses and why?
I'll say Adelaide loses, but I had to put some thought into it because I think they're going well. They've lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost. And they did this last year where they're a bit further behind this year, but they played well, lost some games they shouldn't have lost. Tex Walker back. Their forward line's functioning well. Mm-hmm. But Brisbane are just, they score a lot. They're powerful.
Especially they have they have an exciting ball movement. Their brand
of football is just 100 miles an hour. So I'll say Adelaide lose.
This is the most boring tips ever because I agree with you. I think I only disagreed with you on one game this week. What is that about?
Let's focus on that one game then. We should do a whole episode on that one game.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. You can find Andy on Ankle Sore on all the different socials, and look forward to talking to you guys next week.